The night before my wedding, I received an anonymous text with a video of my fiancé in bed with my sister. I braced myself for the worst confrontation of my life, only to hear my sister whisper, "It's not what you think, he's dangerous." The night before my wedding was supposed to be perfect, a final celebration of love before I walked down the aisle to the man I thought was my soulmate. Instead, it became the night that shattered everything. I stood in my hotel suite, the soft glow of candlelight flickering against the walls, my wedding dress hanging elegantly in the corner. My bridesmaids had just left after an evening filled with laughter, champagne, and the occasional happy tear. My little sister, Chloe, had hugged me tightly before heading to her room down the hall, promising that tomorrow would be the best day of my life. She had no idea that within the next few minutes, everything would fall apart. My phone buzzed on the nightstand. At first, I ignored it, assuming it was another last-minute message from my wedding planner. But something about the alert made me pause. A number I didn't recognize. A message with no words, just a single video attachment. Curious, I clicked on it. The screen filled with grainy footage. At first, I didn't understand what I was looking at. The lighting was dim, and the angle was awkward. Then, the movement became clear. Two bodies tangled together on a bed. A man's hands gripping a woman's waist. A low moan. A sound escaped my lips, something between a gasp and a choked sob, as the realization hit me like a bullet. Liam, Chloe, my fiancé, and my sister. In bed together. I dropped the phone as if it had burned me, my entire body trembling. This had to be a mistake. A nightmare. I forced myself to pick up the phone again, my hands shaking as I watched the video play once more, praying that I was wrong. But I wasn't. Liam's face was unmistakable. His hands, his voice, the way he moved. And Chloe, my best friend, my maid of honor. The woman who had helped me plan this wedding, who had stood beside me through everything, who had sworn she would always have my back. Bile rose in my throat. I couldn't breathe. I wanted to scream, but no sound came out. I had dreamed about this night for so long. Imagine going to bed with the excitement of knowing I'd wake up as Mrs. Emma Carter. But now, my future was crumbling in front of me. I stared at my reflection in the mirror, my tear-filled eyes wide with shock. How long had this been going on? How many times had Liam kissed me after kissing her? How many times had she smiled in my face while betraying me behind my back? I needed answers, but not now. Not when I was too angry, too devastated to think clearly. I took a deep, shaky breath, my mind shifting from heartbreak to something colder, something more calculating. If I stormed into their rooms now, I'd be giving them a chance to lie, to cover their tracks. But if I waited, if I played this smart, I could find out the full truth. I wasn't just going to confront them. I was going to expose them. Still shaking, I wiped my tears away and texted the unknown number back. "Who are you?" The reply came within seconds. "Someone who thought you should know the truth before you say, 'I do.'" I gripped my phone so hard my knuckles turned white. Tomorrow was supposed to be the happiest day of my life. Now, it might be the day I destroyed theirs. Sleep never came. I lay in bed, eyes fixed on the ceiling, replaying the video over and over in my mind. Every second burned into my brain like a scar. I kept expecting, hoping to wake up and realize it had all been a terrible dream. But the video was real. The betrayal was real. By the time dawn crept in through the curtains, I had made my decision. I needed answers. I needed to hear my sister say it. I threw on a robe, my heart pounding as I stepped into the hallway of the hotel. The corridor was silent. The rest of the wedding party still asleep. My feet carried me to Chloe's door before I could second-guess myself. My hand clenched into a fist as I raised it to knock. Then I stopped. What if she lied? What if she cried and told me she didn't know what I was talking about? What if she twisted the truth and made me feel like I was crazy? I reached for the door handle instead, my breath hitching when I found it unlocked. I stepped inside. The curtains were drawn, casting the room in shadows. The air smelled faintly of perfume and something heavier, whiskey, maybe. Chloe's suitcase was open on the floor, clothes spilling out haphazardly. My eyes flicked to the bed, where she was curled up beneath the covers, her dark hair fanned across the pillow. For a moment, I hesitated. She looked so peaceful, so innocent. Then I remembered the video. I slammed the door behind me. She startled awake with a sharp gasp, her eyes flying open. For a second, confusion flickered across her face, but when she saw me standing there, the color drained from her cheeks. "Emma." Her voice was hoarse from sleep. I took a step closer. My hands clenched at my sides. Get up. Chloe blinked, rubbing her eyes. What's wrong? I pulled out my phone and hit play. The sound of moaning filled the room. Chloe shot up like she had been electrocuted. Her eyes locked onto the screen, widening in horror as she realized what I was showing her. You. She choked out, her voice barely above a whisper. Where did you get that? My grip tightened on the phone. So it's true. Her hands trembled as she shoved the blankets off, scrambling out of bed. Emma, don't. I cut her off, my voice sharp. Don't even try to deny it. She swallowed hard, her face pale. It's not what you think. A bitter laugh escaped me. Not what I think. I watched you, Chloe. I saw you with Liam. She shook her head, her hands trembling. Please, just listen to me. How long? I demanded. How long has this been going on? Was it before he proposed? Or were you just waiting for me to pick out my wedding dress before you decided to F***CK my fiancé? Tears welled in her eyes. Emma, stop. It's not what it looks like. Then explain it. My voice cracked, my chest heaving. Explain how my fiancé ended up in bed with my sister. Chloe ran a shaky hand through her hair, her breath coming fast. Then she whispered something so softly I almost didn't catch it. He's not who you think he is. My anger wavered, just for a second. What the hell does that mean? I spat. She took a deep breath. Her hands balled into fists. Liam is dangerous, Emma. You have no idea. I laughed, the sound hollow and bitter. Oh, that's rich. You're trying to turn this around on him? You betrayed me, Chloe. And now you expect me to believe that you were doing me some kind of favor. She flinched. I wasn't trying to hurt you. I was trying to show you who he really is. I scoffed. By sleeping with him? No. Her voice broke. I staged it. Silence fell between us. For a moment, I could only stare at her, my heart hammering in my chest. You're lying, I whispered. I'm not. Her voice was thick with emotion. I set it up. I knew if I sent you that video, you'd finally see what I've been trying to tell you for months. Liam isn't just cheating on you, Emma. He's dangerous. I took a step back, shaking my head. That doesn't make any sense. I know it sounds crazy, Chloe said quickly, but I needed you to see it for yourself. You wouldn't have believed me if I just told you. You expect me to believe you tricked Liam into cheating on me? I let out a humorless laugh. That you somehow planned all of this. Not all of it. She admitted, her voice small. But enough. My head was spinning. Nothing she was saying made sense. But a tiny voice in the back of my mind whispered, what if she's telling the truth? What are you talking about? I whispered. She swallowed hard. I tried to warn you before, but Liam made sure you wouldn't listen. He always made me look like the jealous little sister. Like I was trying to ruin your happiness. But Emma, he's been manipulating you from the start. I felt the room closing in on me. No, I said. That's not true. Chloe's eyes filled with tears. Has he ever told you about his exes? I frowned. What? His past girlfriends. His fiancés. Her voice shook. Did he ever tell you why those relationships ended? I hesitated. Liam had never talked much about his exes. He always brushed it off, saying they had grown apart or that they weren't the right fit. I had never pushed him for details. Chloe watched my face carefully. There's a reason for that. I felt a cold shiver crawl down my spine. What are you saying? She hesitated, then whispered. They disappeared, Emma. My stomach lurched. What? She nodded, her lips pressed together. One of them was engaged to him, just like you are now. She called off the wedding at the last minute, and 2 weeks later, she vanished. Another one broke up with him after 2 years of dating. She left town, told her friends she needed to get away, and was never seen again. I stared at her, my breath coming in short gasps. You're lying, I whispered. She looked me dead in the eyes. I wish I was. The room felt like it was tilting. Could it be true? Had I spent the last 3 years in love with a man who wasn't just a liar, but something much worse? Tears burned behind my eyes as I whispered, why should I believe you? Chloe reached into the drawer of the nightstand, pulled out a small folder, and handed it to me. Because I have proof. My fingers trembled as I reached for it, my pulse hammering in my ears. The wedding was supposed to be in a few hours, but I had the sinking feeling that by the end of the day, I wouldn't just be calling off my marriage, I'd be uncovering a nightmare. My hands trembled as I reached for the folder. The weight of it was heavier than I expected, or maybe it was just my own dread pressing down on me. What is this? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Proof, Chloe repeated, her eyes red-rimmed but determined. Open it. I hesitated. Every fiber of my being screamed at me to throw it across the room. To pretend this conversation had never happened. Because if I opened that folder, I would have to accept that my entire life, my relationship, my engagement, my future, was built on a lie. With a deep breath, I forced my fingers to unclasp the cover. Inside were several printed articles, screenshots of social media posts, and pages of what looked like private messages. My eyes darted to the first headline. Missing woman last seen with fiancé, Liam Carter. My stomach dropped. I scanned the page, my mind struggling to process the words. It was dated 5 years ago, before I had even met Liam. The article described a woman named Rebecca Hayes, a 29-year-old who had mysteriously disappeared just 2 weeks after calling off her engagement. According to the report, she had been engaged to a successful businessman, Liam Carter. My Liam. Chloe's voice cut through my shock. Keep going. I flipped to the next page. Another headline. The ex-fiancé of local businessman still missing after 6 months. Another name. Another woman. Jessica McAdams. 31. She had also called off her engagement to Liam, only to vanish without a trace weeks later. My breath came in ragged gasps. This could be a coincidence. Chloe shook her head. Read the messages. I turned to the next page. It was a printed screenshot from what looked like an online forum. A woman had written a post describing how she had dated a man named Liam Carter who was controlling, manipulative, and terrifying when he didn't get his way. She wrote about how he isolated her, made her feel like she was crazy whenever she questioned his actions. Her username was JMcAdams92. Jessica McAdams. I clapped a hand over my mouth. I tried to tell you before, Chloe said softly. But he made sure you wouldn't believe me. I shook my head violently. No, Liam would never. He's not like that. Isn't he? Chloe countered. Think about it, Emma. When was the last time you went anywhere without him questioning you? How often has he told you that you're overreacting, that you're imagining things? I opened my mouth to argue, but my mind raced through the past 3 years. The way Liam hated when I went out without him. How he always checked my phone, justifying it with, I just want to make sure you're safe. How? Anytime I expressed doubt about our relationship, he made me feel like the bad guy. And the times Chloe had tried to warn me, tried to get close to me, only for Liam to turn me against her. She's just jealous, babe. She's always been competitive with you. Don't let her ruin this for us. My blood ran cold. What? I swallowed. What if they just ran away? Chloe's expression darkened. Then why did Rebecca's family hire a private investigator? She asked. My eyes snapped back to the folder, landing on a copy of a private investigator's report. According to the document, Rebecca had been planning to move to another city after breaking up with Liam. She had purchased a plane ticket, spoken with friends, even put down a deposit on an apartment. But she never boarded the flight. Her bank account was never used again. Neither was Jessica's. I felt like I was going to throw up. You're telling me? I could barely get the words out. You think Liam did something to them? Chloe's expression was pained. I don't think it, she said quietly. I know it. A sharp knock at the door made us both jump. For a split second, neither of us moved. Then Liam's voice came from the other side. Emma? Babe, are you awake? I felt my entire body go rigid. I turned to Chloe, panic flashing in my eyes. She grabbed my wrist. Her grip firm. Don't let him know, she mouthed. Another knock, louder this time. Emma. Liam's voice was softer now, coaxing. Can I come in? My heart pounded so hard I thought he might hear it through the door. Why, yeah, I called out, forcing my voice to sound normal. Chloe darted behind the bathroom door just as the handle turned. Liam stepped inside, looking devastatingly handsome in his tailored suit. If I hadn't just uncovered the horrifying truth about him, I might have been breathless at the sight. But now, all I felt was fear. His eyes flicked around the room before settling on me. I was worried about you. You never came to bed last night. I swallowed the lump in my throat. I couldn't sleep. He took a step closer, reaching for my hand. You nervous about today? I forced myself to nod. Yeah, just pre-wedding jitters. He smiled, but something about it felt wrong now. Liam tilted his head, studying me. Are you sure? You seem different. I pulled my hand away, desperate to keep space between us. Just tired. His jaw clenched ever so slightly. Well, you don't have to worry about anything, baby. After today, we'll be married. Everything will be perfect. His words sent a chill down my spine. Then his gaze landed on my phone. My stomach dropped. I had left the folder open on the bed, but the screen was dark. Still, the moment his eyes flicked to it, a new kind of tension settled between us. His expression darkened just enough for me to notice. "Did someone message you?" he asked, his tone light. But there was an underlying sharpness to it. I forced a laugh. "Just my mom. She's freaking out about the flowers." He chuckled, but his eyes lingered on the phone for a moment too long before he leaned in and pressed a kiss to my forehead. "I'll see you at the altar," he murmured. I barely managed to nod as he walked out. The second the door closed behind him, Chloe slipped out of the bathroom. "He knows something's wrong," she whispered. I exhaled shakily. "Yeah, we have to stop the wedding," she said urgently. I looked at her, my mind racing. "No," I said slowly. "We need to expose him." Chloe blinked. "How?" I swallowed hard, my hands curling into fists. "We're going to show everyone exactly who Liam Carter really is." I stood in front of the full-length mirror, staring at my reflection. The woman staring back at me looked like a stranger, pale, shaken, and haunted by the truth she had uncovered in the last 12 hours. The wedding dress clung to my body like a cruel joke, a gown meant for a bride walking toward her future, not one preparing to destroy the man she was supposed to marry. Chloe sat on the bed behind me, watching me carefully. "Are you sure about this?" I met her eyes in the mirror. "I have to be." The plan was reckless, dangerous, even. But after what I had discovered, there was no other way. If Liam was responsible for what happened to those women, I couldn't just run. He would find me. He would manipulate me into staying, just like he always had. No, the only way out was to expose him in front of everyone. I exhaled shakily and picked up my phone, my fingers hovering over the screen. Then, with one deep breath, I sent the message. "Play it the moment I say I do." The reply came instantly. "Got it." I turned back to Chloe. "It's time." The ceremony was held at an extravagant outdoor venue, with white roses draped over a breathtaking floral arch. Guests were seated in pristine rows of golden chairs, murmuring excitedly as the music played softly. I stood at the entrance, gripping my father's arm as we waited for our cue. My heart slammed against my ribs. Liam was already at the altar, waiting for me. I spotted him instantly, standing in his tailored black suit, looking every bit the charming, perfect groom. His smile was warm, but something about it made my skin crawl now. I felt Chloe's presence in the crowd. She had managed to take a seat near the front, where she could watch everything unfold. Then, the music shifted. The doors opened. It was time. Step by step, I walked down the aisle. My father squeezed my hand, oblivious to the chaos that was about to explode. I reached the altar. Liam took my hands, smiling at me with practiced devotion. I forced a smile back. The officiant began speaking, his voice a dull hum in my ears. I could feel the weight of my phone in my palm beneath my bouquet, my heart hammering with anticipation. Then came the moment. "Do you, Emma Carter, take Liam Carter to be your lawfully wedded husband?" Silence. The guests waited. Liam's hand tightened around mine. His grip was stronger than necessary. I took a deep breath. And then, from the speakers, a woman's voice rang out. "Please, stop. You're hurting me." The video started playing. Gasps rippled through the crowd as the footage projected onto the large screen behind us. The same video I had received the night before. The one of Liam and Chloe in bed together. Only now, it wasn't just the video, it was everything else. Screenshots of missing persons reports. News clippings of women who had disappeared after breaking off their engagement with Liam. And then, the messages. Conversations between Liam and another man, discussing how certain women needed to be taken care of. I turned to Liam. His face was frozen in shock, his hands clenched at his sides. The guests were stunned, whispering in confusion. My mother was clutching her chest, my father staring at the screen, horrified. And then Liam moved. He lunged for the microphone. "This is fake," he bellowed, his voice shaking with barely controlled rage. "Someone is trying to sabotage us." But it was too late. The damage was done. Chloe stood up from her seat. "You're a monster," she spat, her voice loud and clear. Liam snapped his head toward her, his entire body trembling. "You little." And that's when security stepped in. A man in uniform grabbed Liam's arm. "Sir, you need to come with us." Liam ripped his arm away, his face contorted in fury. "You have no idea who you're messing with." Panic spread through the crowd. My guest stood up. some pulling out their phones to record. And then the police arrived. 2 officers pushed through the guests, their faces set in grim determination. "Liam Carter, you're under arrest." The crowd erupted in whispers. Liam's entire body went rigid. "For what?" he snarled. The officer pulled out a piece of paper and read his rights. "For the disappearance of Rebecca Hayes and Jessica McAdams." The world around me blurred as Liam fought back, thrashing in their grip. "You think you can do this to me?" he screamed. I took a step back, fear and triumph battling inside me. Then his gaze landed on me. His eyes were no longer soft and loving. They were cold. "You did this," he hissed. "You think you're safe now?" A shiver ran down my spine. The officers finally got him under control, dragging him toward the exit as the guests gawked in shock. Then he was gone. The wedding was over. Aftermath. I don't remember much after that. People were talking, shouting, even, but all I could hear was the sound of my own breathing. Some guests came to comfort me, while others were still too stunned to process what had happened. My father had to sit down, looking like he was on the verge of a heart attack. My mother, tears streaming down her face, kept repeating, "Oh my God, oh my God." Chloe was the one who pulled me away from the chaos. "Come on," she whispered, guiding me toward the dressing room. Once we were inside, she locked the door, and I collapsed into her arms. Sobs racked my body. The stress, the fear, the betrayal, it all came crashing down. She held me tight. "It's over now, Em," she whispered. "He can't hurt you anymore." But as I clung to my sister, something deep inside me whispered that this wasn't truly over. Liam had secrets, and secrets always have consequences. Epilogue. A week later, Liam's face was all over the news. Authorities found evidence linking him to multiple missing women. Rebecca's plane ticket had never been used. Jessica's car had been found abandoned near a secluded cabin. The case was growing by the day. But even as the police built their case, one detail still haunted me. Before Liam was taken away, before he disappeared behind those police doors, he had looked me dead in the eyes and whispered something just for me. "I'll see you soon, babe." And the worst part? I believed him. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more shocking Reddit cheating stories happening around you.